We all face challenges, crucibles in life that make us or break us. What matters is how we respond to such roadblocks. That's really what defines us. Through inspirational stories from all walks of life, this podcast will provide you with techniques to overcome and grow from life's most challenging experiences. Hello, everybody. I'm Mary Lee Eightenhand, coming to you live from the Diva Den Studios in Brentwood, Tennessee for my podcast, Crucible. You can find me at eightenhandhealthcoaching.com. And if you like this podcast, please like, subscribe, and share. On today's podcast, we're going to learn how to become the best version of yourself by feeding your mind, body, and soul. And you'll get 3 takeaways. My first point being feeding your body. Your body needs fuel and on-point nutrition, but you are literally what you eat. My second point, rewiring your brain to build new routines and stimulation for a growth mindset. And my third point, feeding your soul. Call it faith, spirituality, or meditation. The truth is that we need to feel fulfilled and satisfied with everything that we do. Joining us to share today as my guest on Crucible and to share his inspirational story of triumph and his crucibles along the way is my good friend, Anthony Smiley. Anthony Smiley is literally Crimson Tide royalty. He has played football as an outside linebacker for the great Bear Bryant from 1980 to 83 and took home an SEC championship in 1982. For 1 year, he also played under Ray Perkins in 83 to 84. He golfs, I know, with Nick Saban and other famous athletes, coaches, and celebrities. His cousin, shout out to Ricky Smiley. And Anthony is a father and a husband, a man of God. He has a huge love for others, and he literally lights up a room that he walks into with his charisma. And recently, he became a heart donor recipient. So welcome, Anthony. I'm so glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Good to see you. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. You have such a great story. Let's start with my first point, which is feeding your body and how you came to become a donor recipient.
My life, when I was growing up, I was telling you, I worked out and always in physical shape, and I was having shortness of breath, and the doctors, they did all kinds of tests and drew blood, and come to find out that, I needed a heart transplant. So along with that, getting a heart transplant, I stayed in the hospital for 5 months waiting on a heart, and they couldn't wait any longer. So they had to put in an LVAD, which is a pump that keep you living until you can get a heart. And, a year later, I end up getting a heart. I'm coming up on my anniversary here, February the 10th, be 3 years.
Awesome. So you were in the hospital for 5 months, and then you had to wait another year after that? Wow.
Correct.
And did they keep you in the hospital the entire time, or did they let you go? I can't imagine.
Yeah. Well, they let me, I went back home, but I kept having all kinds of other problems. So I was in and out of the hospital, but they let you go home with an LVAD. And, when my heart came, I stayed in the hospital probably another 3 weeks after I had a heart transplant.
Yeah. Well, I can only imagine that had your nutrition, your eating habits, all the years of lifting weights. I mean, you have always looked like you're in shape. You've never looked any otherwise, But I imagine that had you not kept all of that in check, would they have rejected you as a heart donor, I guess, basically?
Yeah, and you're right. If I didn't work out, I probably wouldn't be here today. And, like I say, I always try to walk and on the treadmill and do exercise. And the doctors told me that's what kept me from dying, was being in good shape, in top shape, and, just doing the right things.
Yeah, good for you. Well, most people know that they need to do those things, but they just don't. I mean, that's been my
Right.
experience as a health coach. And so, congratulations to you for taking charge of your health, and taking that back. So, now take me back to your story. You were sharing with me pretty in-depthly about the doctor who said, "Oh, I think this is all in your head, and maybe you need to see a psychiatrist, and
Right.
there's nothing really wrong." And then
Yeah.
what it was like going through that heart transplant.
Yeah, but Mary Lee, that's why you always get a second opinion. But I was hard headed. I didn't listen to my wife. She's a cardiovascular nurse manager at UAB hospital. So I went to this doctor that all my friends and buddy was saying, and he was the type. He really didn't know what he was doing. He told me that I need to go see a psychiatrist, that, it's really nothing wrong with me. But, I end up going to UAB. And when I first went in, they drew blood, and immediately they told me I needed a heart. And they put me in the hospital right away.
Wow. I know that you've met your heart donor parents, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
I am.
So, nobody can see you because we're doing this on a podcast, but
Right.
you're just a large, huge, buff man. I mean, you still look like a linebacker.
Right.
And I know that with children, like if they're in the NICU, they've got to have a smaller size heart. But was that an issue for you as well, to find a heart large enough for your body type or shape?
Yes, it was. I needed a big heart, and my donor was a big guy. And, I thank God for him signing up to be a donor, because I probably wouldn't be here today. And, you always, you got different heart shape. But, the funny thing about it, too, is I could have got a female heart if it was big enough. And all my buddies was giving me a hard time, about getting a female heart, that I'm going to be emotional and be trying on my wife clothes and all that good stuff. So, but, my heart came from LSU. I'm still a Bama fan, but I do have a LSU heart.
Well, there you go. And what a blessing for those parents to get to meet you.
Yes. And it was great time too, Mary Lee, and to go to New Orleans to meet his mom and dad, and they had a chance to lay their head on my chest to listen to the heart. And they family. They part of my family now.
Oh, that's amazing. And you'd also shared with me that their son was a drug addict. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. He died from meth, and 2 weeks before he died, he went and signed up to be a donor. So I guess he knew his life was near. So he went up and signed, and I got his heart. And today my heart is great. They constantly, my team of doctors, they constantly check on me, and they check on my heart. They go in and look at my heart and take pictures, and constantly just making sure everything goes accordingly.
That's fabulous. So to my second point, let me back up a little bit. What would you suggest to people who want to make a plan to be the best version of themselves physically? Like you just naturally walked. You've always naturally been an athlete, I'm guessing.
Right. I have always been an athlete, but, I love to look at my body. When you go to the service station, you're pumping gas, and it's summertime, and, you got on short sleeves, and, and although I'm married, but, women constantly
they're looking at you.
Or,
Absolutely.
and so, and that makes you feel good, when you walk somewhere and somebody call you muscle man, or, stuff like that. But, working out, I think everybody here in America need to do some type of exercise, because if you look around, all these big people, from men to women, and all my other buddies, they have guts, and they got big and swollen, and and they swear up and down I'm on steroids. But I just try to live right and do what's right.
Yeah. And when you eat healthy and you work out, for sure,
Yeah,
you can have that buff body. It doesn't matter what age you are.
that's right.
Um,
That's right.
yeah, I think the statistic is something like 72% of all Americans are obese.
Yeah, I believe it. Thing you got
Yeah.
to do is go to Walmart and
Yeah.
go just go out in public and you see, it's like America. It looked like a bunch of cows running around. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Right. And a lot of those people, they've just given up. They've given up on
Yeah,
themselves.
true.
I look at people differently after becoming a health coach because I've heard their stories of the pain of being,
That's right.
overweight since they were in grade school and they were bullied for it. And the whole entire mindset of what they believe about themselves is so skewed and so, obviously inaccurate, but they just don't think they can do it, so
Right.
they come to me sometimes like, this is the last thing I'm going to try. I've tried every diet, I've tried every program, can you help me? And it's like, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
If you've,
But to that, you can't give up on yourself. I don't care if you weigh 400 pounds. I don't seen people, not they don't even do surgery or whatever, but they end up working out, staying focused, doing what they needed to do to lose weight and to feel better. Because
yeah,
working out I rarely have a cold or, just some type of illness because I work out.
yeah, yeah. And that makes sense because it is mind, body, soul for sure.
Right.
Um, so speaking to my third point, how do you feed your soul spiritually? Because to me, your whole story is just seeing God open so many doors and crazy timing and it all worked out.
Yeah. But, at the end of the day, prayer works. I had thousands of people praying for me when I was
Yeah.
in the hospital. I had a lot of love and support. And, always, been close to God. But when you land on your back for 5 months, you get closer to Him. And
Yeah.
I always, before I go to work, I got a bunch of religious music, and I listen to that before I get, have like a 30-minute drive. And, I listen to my church music and, to get my day going. But, you always got to be positive and don't let nobody steal your joy. That's one of my favorites. Don't let nobody steal your joy.
I love
And,
that.
just be happy because, I'm full of joy. When I walk to work, everybody seems kind of down and out. And I'm the type, I got everybody fired up and, laughing and having a good time. You got
Yeah.
to laugh to enjoy life. If you don't
Yeah.
laugh, your life's going to be miserable.
Yeah, exactly. And you are. I mean, I was not lying when I say you walk in a room and you just attract people to you,
Right.
with that charisma and your humor and you are hilarious too.
Yeah.
You are you are. Um so what would you suggest to someone that's struggling with their mindset and their spirituality? Where do you start? I mean, granted, you came to a place of facing death in its face, staring death in its face and,
Well,
prayer and God.
yeah. But, at the end of the day, you got to love yourself. I don't care,
Mm,
who you are, you black, white, green, it doesn't matter. And loving yourself, you got to love other people too, and not be so quick to judge. And I came from a great family background that was truly a lot of love, and that's why I'm who I am today is because of my parents.
oh,
And
that's great.
at the end of the day, we got a choice. You can you either wake up and let this be a good day, or you can let it be a bad day. You have choices. And every day I wake up, it's a great day. And regardless, I don't always have great days or good days, but the way you handle it, and you turn a negative into a positive. So you just have to love yourself.
Yeah, I love that. And you are blessed to have had fabulous parents,
Yes, yes,
and you have a fabulous family as well. I
yes.
mean, and Kevin and I were praying for you. We've been praying for you for many years.
Right,
So when all of this started, it was like, what? Oh my gosh. Yeah, you were on our prayer list. So
right.
it's such an honor to get to see you in full living color, and you look fantastic. So I think your story and your faith are truly miraculous.
Right.
So
And you can let your listeners know that they can Google me, and have stuff on Google that talks about my life as well. And I had a chance to be on the radio up in North Carolina, ESPN,
mm,
telling them about my story. But one thing I do want your listeners, please be a donor. You can take your organ with you to the grave, but you can save other lives by being a donor.
yeah, that's beautiful. And yeah, I've been one for a long time.
Yeah,
So I don't even know if my family knows that, but and so share about what you're doing now. I know you've been speaking. You've been on ESPN, of course,
right.
and but you do a lot of speaking engagements, I think,
Yeah,
elsewhere. Why don't you just share in details, your details of what it is that you're sharing?
right.
I know you shared about the school systems. That's where I'm headed.
Yeah, yeah. And I go around and talk to kids and about motivation along with my transplant. But I talk about life and being positive and hanging around winners. My
Mm,
father always told me, you hang around losers, that's what you're going to become. If you hang around winners, that's what you're going to become. So you got choices. So I do go around to churches and different schools and speak about life. And, and we live in one of the best country in the world. And it just breaks my heart that people can't love one another and basically just be happy. Everybody, my mom used to tell me, Mary Lee, that if you put frowns in your forehead, they're going to grow in your forehead. And that's
ah,
true. So if you're always walking around with a frown in your face and when I see people like that, I kind of break the ice with them. I said, ma'am, once you get those frowns out your forehead, I said, they're going to grow they're going to grow like that if you continue. And you should have seen the reaction on her face.
uh,
She started smiling I said, that looks a whole lot better than walking around with a frown.
yeah, that's a that's a good conversation starter for sure. So, and I love, and we are truly, the sum of the five people that we hang out with the most. And, your dad had great advice because, yeah, if you hang around with losers, then you get pulled off into their path,
That's right.
you know, and
Yeah.
that can be a path of destruction or just, a frustrating path. I don't know.
Right.
Not a path to fulfillment, you know.
Correct.
So, well, I sure appreciate you being here today, Anthony. It's been great sharing and hearing about your story and so many good takeaways. I love, of course, your positive attitude and your choices to have either a good day or a bad day, and even if you feel like you're having a bad day, smile.
Yeah.
And
Pick yourself up.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But but,
And
but yeah, and can I say this? Excuse me for cutting you off,
no, you're
but
fine.
I'm gonna leave this with you too. You got to look around at some of the people that are in wheelchairs, don't have limbs, that are in worse and off shape than we are. I mean, so you see them smiling and
Yeah.
having a good time. I saw a guy. He had both his legs cut off, amputated, and he had a roll tied sock
Uh,
wrapped around his leg when I was going to rehab. And I saw him, he was wheeling down the hallway. I said, "Roll Tide." He hollered, "Roll Tide" back.
Yeah.
And he didn't, you can tell he was happy, so everybody's worse off than we are. And, we got everything going for us. We healthy, we walking around, being able to enjoy life. And some people can't do that. So, your attitude is your altitude. So,
Yeah. Amen. That is so true. Altitude. Attitude is altitude. And do you have a website then? Or just...
No, I'm on Facebook, Anthony Bruce, Smiley. And if any of your listeners want me to come and, talk, if I'm available, to their church, I don't charge anything because, God has blessed me. So when he blessed me, you have to give it back to somebody else. Exactly. And that's what I do. And that's what I do at UAB is I go and talk to a lot of the patients that are waiting on some type of transplant because a doctor can't tell them what I can tell. Because I've been there, and they look at me and they give them hope.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Do they ever ask to see your scars?
Yeah, they do. And, like I say, with COVID, I do it on FaceTime. So, but in the past, I would go up there and talk to young people. I had an 18-year-old waiting on the heart, and they had to give them an LVAD. So by me going up there and talking with them, it makes them feel better, that they can relate to me than a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure. Because, it's like anything, right? It's one thing to have lived it. It's another thing to just, be preaching it, basically. So
right.
Before we close, though, share the story of you going to Cincinnati and then you're finding out about your heart. That was incredible.
Yeah,
So you're at the point where you've been waiting this year now for your heart.
Right. And, and I had the LVAD. They don't want you to travel more than 2 hours away from the hospital, just in case you get a heart and so forth, or if something go wrong with your LVAD. So me and my uncle, he doesn't have any siblings and relatives that live up in Cleveland, Ohio. So he passed away, and me and my brother was driving up there to Ohio, and I was breaking the rules and shouldn't have gone up there, but I did. But I haven't heard from UAB in a year or so. We driving and we going through Cincinnati on our way to Cleveland. I get a phone call from UAB Hospital, and they said, "Ms. Smiley, this is such and such. We have a heart for you, and you need to be here at 6:00. We stopped in the middle of traffic, and we were just in shock. My brother said, "We got to go back. We got to drive back, and this and that." So we got to thinking, and I said, "Well, everybody else." I called my wife and called everybody, and my nephew was going to send a private plane to pick me up, but I said, "Well, I'm gonna just get on the plane in Cincinnati and fly back." So, make a long story short, I got on the plane, and the plane was delayed for whatever the case may be. So I was going to miss my flight in Charlotte because that's where I was going to go to Charlotte and then back to Birmingham. So while I was on the plane, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get there in time to get my heart. So, I'm sitting up there crying. I'm talking about snot coming out of my nose, crying. And,
I get it.
And American Airlines, so shout out to them. So the stewardess, she came to me and said, "Sir, what's wrong?" And I explained to her what was going on. So she went and talked to the captain of the plane. And the next thing you know, you can feel that plane kicking into another gear. And so we landed, and she got on the mic and said, "Everybody, please sit down." And they let me off the plane first. They had a wheelchair, and the guy that was pushing me in the wheelchair, he was pushing me so fast. And we made it. We made it to the other plane, and I made it in time. And they kicked it in another gear on their way to Birmingham, and I made it in time to get my heart. And that was by the grace of God and American Airlines.
Oh, that's awesome. And I think you said you walked into the hospital 6 minutes before 6. Is that right?
Yeah, sure did. Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
I sure did. And walked in the hospital, and I knew everybody in the hospital. So they were so excited, all the nurses,
Sure.
even the cleaning people. And it was just good timing. And the next day, I went in surgery for a 13-hour surgery. And the doctor said my chest was one of the hardest chests to crack open. And, I laid in the hospital for 3 days after the surgery. They kept my chest open and had it covered with plastic. And the next day they sealed up my chest. The third day I woke up and they had me walking around the room.
Wow. That's amazing. And then you did have complications. You said your lung filled up with blood. And
yeah, that was before.
before.
Yeah, I had
okay.
that too. Yeah, just all kinds of stuff that was happening that just comes with the territory of trying to stay here. So
yeah, well, God has a good purpose for you and a greater purpose for you. So yeah, I encourage all our listeners to Google Anthony Bruce Smiley, Smiley. And I'm sure there are people that would love to have you come talk to their churches, their schools,
hospitals.
Hospitals, absolutely. Donor recipients, to be. So that's awesome. So thank you again, Anthony. You're just an amazing guy, and I've always loved you and respected you. And I know we haven't spent much time together, but Kevin keeps me up on your family, and I've tried to keep up on Facebook, and your son's doing a fantastic job.
Right.
You've done such a great job with AJ. So as to be expected, and Candace is beautiful as well. We'd love to get her on here and tell her story, because that's equally as impressive.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to share my story. And like I say, it's really not my story. It's nobody but God. So
that's beautiful.
I love you too. I love Kevin. Y'all just like family. So
I know. Love you too, Anthony. Thanks so much, and God bless.
All right. You too. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.